morning, everyone. My name is Isaiah Singleton. I'm with the Atlanta Voice. I'm here to introduce Laurie Winters. She's community manager with JPMorganChase. How is everyone doing today, and how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, Isaiah?
I'm well.
Good.
Yes. So we're here to talk about holiday budgeting. And the holidays are vastly approaching.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about your strategy this year and going into budgeting.
So I'm going to be honest with you and very transparent. Every year, I have a different strategy because it starts at the end of the year when you come off of the what could I have done differently, right? So this year, coming off of last year, I kind of looked at how my spending went, right? The pros and the cons, okay? So as a family, I have older kids, so I am not assembling toys at midnight. I'm no longer an elf, okay? So I'm a full-on, hey, we're just going to do our thing. But I have to put some guardrails around my budget because my intentions a lot of times have a tendency to exceed that budget, okay? So to make it fair, we have to set some parameters around our spending as a family. So we have decided collectively this year we're going on a trip. So everyone got luggage, okay? That was a gift. You know what it is? Surprise. We're going on a trip. But what I recommend for our audience, okay, is to create a goal for yourself. For me, I know if I'm going to spend, let's say I'm going to spend $500 on gifts, and I'm going to spend it on this many people. And then I always have a contingency plan for that just in case, or that white elephant party, or that ugly sweat or something. You got to bring something, right? So it's really about putting a limit on your giving, okay? Now, that just really prepares you to be able to build up for the next year, honestly. Because when you extend yourself to a point to where it's uncomfortable, it's not a good feeling going into the next year, you know, in the negative, right? I don't want a deficit. I would actually, it's more of a game for me because if I know I have $500, I'm trying to come in under budget so the extra can be for, you know, the next year. So I try to encourage my audience to definitely set some limitations, kind of prioritize, write it down, you know, just write it down. I'm going to buy for this many people. This is my budget, and make that budget fit into that list. It's very simple when you think about it.
When you think about it. Because, you know, things happen.
Yeah.
Family members pop up.
Oh, yeah.
So you talk about having a limit on spending and giving. So my mom always taught me everyone in her household has to have a present under that tree. That could be a big family. That could be a lot of spending. So how can families work together and have that hard conversation of budgeting and, you know? So
having money conversations aren't always the most comfortable or the most fun, okay? So it is very fun for my family because it's more of I'm an old school mom, so I might have been that mom at the grocery store, like, before we go in here, don't you ask me for any candy on the checkout aisle because mommy is here for milk, eggs, bread. Okay, whatever. So I kind of lighten it as best I can because the conversation is to save money is to build wealth for the family. So it's not penny pinching to keep anyone from having great joy in the season, but it's just being intentional about the way we look at money and that value system. So even from what I heard you say about your mom, was the old school mom, because I'm the same thing. Everybody has a gift under the tree. So I have a family of 5. I know I'm getting 5 gifts, okay? So I'm getting me a gift, and then I want the other 4 people to get a gift too. So that makes sense. But in doing that, it's just about being intentional about it and having the conversation and saying, I want to do this, and this is my budget. Now, I have a teenager who does not have a job. So guess whose budget she has? Mine. It's part of mine. So, I mean, I have older kids that work, so they have a different type of budget. They're students, right? So everyone has a different budget. So it's first starting to say, you know, what does your budget look like? What are you comfortable, you know, with? Or even talking about your wants. Because a lot of times they think that the extravagance is what I expect. It's not. It's the little things for me. I mean, I like the end caps at Target, so give me a Target gift card. I mean, it's very easy, and it's about kind of thinking outside of the box when it comes to trying to fulfill these needs with a tighter budget. So it makes it light when you can just say, hey, this is my budget for spending this year. Let's talk about what you really want. Give me 3 choices. So I normally always break it down that way. So I'm like, okay, so you're not going to get a real car, but I'm going to buy you a little Hot Wheels with the promise. Okay, so just making it fun and light in different ways.
And having that difficult conversation, but having it in that light manner.
Yeah, I want to remove the word difficult because I think that creates a stigma around how we look at money. Money shouldn't be difficult. Money should be easy, So it's about conditioning yourself to think about it differently. It's not a chore. It's more of a strategic. It's like playing Battleship. You got to think it through. You got to think through your next move every time you open your wallet and get comfortable with the way you spend money and your value and your view of money.
So I have another question for you. Looking at, we're a month or 2 away from Christmas? Now, it's a little too... is it too late to start budgeting for Christmas?
It's never too late.
Okay.
It's never too late to do anything. Just saying, it's never too late to do anything. But when it comes to a budget, even right now, like in my mind, I really started in July. So I know that my priorities and who's getting what in July. I'm early with Christmas because the day after Christmas, I'm taking the tree down.
The day after?
The day after, because we normally travel, so I don't want to come home to all the things. So I put it up very early also. So I have trees up now. So that puts me in the mood. And then everyone in the house is kind of seeing and thinking. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like a gentle nudge, the gentle reminder. So I like to try to encourage starting early, but start where you are. So if you're right now in the middle of October and you're like, okay, Christmas is around the corner. Who am I buying for? What am I buying them? And what does my budget look like to be able to satisfy these requests or what I would like to give? So you then figure out a plan or a strategy around purchasing those things based on what you write down for yourself. When you write it down, you make it real, okay? So put yourself into a little contract and be like, this is my holiday spending. Now, holidays and the sales, all of those things will create a lot of kind of impulsive spending. So you have to have a certain degree of discipline. It's very hard for me. I'm very impulsive. I have to be very transparent when I say that. But at the end of the day, if it is not in the budget, it's not allowed. I wait till a later time. And then also kind of knowing, depending on what your gift is, the different times to buy it. Because, you have all these sales and different times to buy. Good times to buy electronics or, a store's having a sale. And you kind of take advantage of those times to get it at the lesser price.
Like Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Coming up.
It should be Black Friday, Navy
Monday.
Friday, Gray Friday, Cyber, the Prime days. Everyone is pretty much after your pocket. And a deal or a sale or a special indicated sales day does not always a good sale make. Just saying. Yeah.
So moving on to my next question. I want to know, what can parents do to encourage financial independence? Start
early if you can, because at the tender age of 5, children are looking at you and paying attention to how you spend your money. So for me, I like to give my children a responsibility, and that is to save or to invest. My children they used to go crazy with money. Like my mom used to say, oh, that dollar's burned a hole in your pocket. So literally I have holes burnt in every pocket of every child in my house because they get a dollar bill, they're going to spend it. So you encourage them by creating different habits. I encourage parents to start that financial relationship with an account early, having them create that habit of going to the bank and making their birthday money deposits or their allowances for their little chores or whatever, that entails. However they get money by whatever little side jobs or however they get their money, to save it or put a percentage for saving. So it's not just make the money and save it. always, paying yourself first and explaining how it works and letting them understand the value of money. I take my children to the grocery store and have for years, because as much as they ask, they need to know the costs associated with it, right? So it kind of also helped to diminish everyone's hunger after I return home from Sam's or Costco. Everybody wants everything that's in the cart, but it's a little different when you've seen the number, okay? So they're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is how much it costs. So not that I'm rationing, but let's be realistic in the way that we indulge. But when they see it, it's different. I can tell you now, those habits that I had with my boys, especially because I have 2 in college, the way they are so tight with their money because it's theirs, I know they've paid attention. So it's about creating certain habits and showing them things early, giving them that sense of responsibility to kind of take some ownership on certain things on their own early. Really makes a big impact.
Now, there is something that I want to ask that it might be a little off topic, but when we talk about holiday budgeting and the spirit of Christmas, budgeting can affect people's spirit of enjoying with family. How do we have that conversation with not letting budgeting or even spending correlate to the happiness that should be Christmas?
Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And gifting isn't always something that has a monetary attachment to it. So the conversation in my home is a heartfelt gift. That could be something you create. That could be something it could be a song. It could be whatever. And it just depends on where you are now. When it comes to attaching a dollar amount to it, to me, it's about making that realistic, because there is not a huge amount of joy for my 19-year-old son to buy me a diamond necklace when I know his budget. Because it might make him feel great giving it to me, but it's not going to make me feel great giving him the money that he needed to live. I'm wearing it around my neck, so it's back to me. So I like to be very realistic with it. So I think a lot of times there may be unspoken expectations, but being just realistic with your unit and just speaking from the heart, again, makes it very light. There isn't a huge expectation around a monetary amount or something of great monetary significance for me during the holiday, because to me, the stress of getting something that costs a lot of money, to me, I guilt myself out of buying myself stuff because I want to do for others. So I always look at it like, well, if I know I'm going to set this much money aside for something specifically for me, or I'm going to do this for my spouse and this for my kids, that's what I'm doing. And then I'm going to layer it on with other ways of showing love and kindness and great joy and enjoying the holiday season without a monetary attachment. It's a melting pot of all the things.
It is,
okay?
And especially with like a lot of kids, you have to know when to pull back, but also kind of make them feel like, they have to make them feel like, what's the word for it? Not special, but like it's the special time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Absolutely.
And I know it's commercialized, but it's like also it's kind of tradition.
Yeah.
And you want everyone to feel special.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So yeah. So my next question for you is, what are some creative ways to give meaningful gifts without overspending during the holiday?
To me, it's know your subject. Okay, so I'm big on know your subject just in life in general, but I know my subject. So I know that my daughter is a scent bird. Okay, so she is, and then she's on the TikTok shop. I sounded my age when I said the TikTok shop. She's on TikTok and she's on Instagram, and so I know what she's interested in. I've already said, okay, well, this is going to be her gift. She's going to get this many body products and all the dupes and the sprays, and I'm going to get her a nice big fat Scentbird basket. Okay. I have a sneakerhead. No, I'm not buying his sneakers. Okay. But maybe I'll buy him some sneaker cleaner. Okay. And maybe he gets a gift card to Foot Locker or wherever, So I just kind of like to know what they like. And I like to be intentional with my gifts because that's my love language. I'm a gifter. So I pay attention to them throughout the year. And really, like for birthdays, I always tell them, give me 3 things you really, really want. I hold on to those things. Their birthdays are the earlier part of the year, so I kind of carry that on. But it's about just kind of knowing what would really put that smile on their face. So I know that last year I gave my son a money tree. And it was money on a tree. And I'm like, don't ask me for any more money because it doesn't grow on trees. Right. And now this is your lesson. And this was my oldest.
I like that. I like that symbolism, actually. Yep. How did you think of that?
That it was a whole YouTube video. Okay, because you can perform heart surgery if you watch enough YouTube videos. But it was very cute. It was like I had a little bonsai kind of a tree that I found like at a Marshall's. And I literally attached various bills just to the tree. I made them look kind of cute. You know, it was nice. He understood it because I said, well, when the money tree is empty, the money tree is empty.
It's empty. It does not grow back.
Yeah, it doesn't grow back. Right. So the funny thing is, he's heard me say money doesn't grow on trees way before, you know, it became a regular thing, right? So he's taking it to a different level now that he's about to branch out and go on his own. So budgeting is very important for him. That money tree is a reminder to not be too excessive, right? To prioritize, because you always want to have something on that tree, okay? And without any branches, tree could die, you know, so that's not what you want.
So let's talk about the aftermath of Christmas and building that budget back up for the next year.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
Oh, okay. So once everybody gets over their guilt and the excessiveness. I love January. January is generally the time when everyone is paying attention to everything that we're talking about budgeting. Okay. By July, they've probably fallen off that budget wagon. But again, it's the same approach that you take. Budgeting doesn't change as far as the actual practice of it. It's the discipline. You know, you have to be focused. So for me, every year I'm like, I am not going to be here this year. Next year, I'm going to plan better. I'm going to spend less, blah, 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 blah. I say that every year. And I'm always doing a stop, start, continue around my own budget. Again, it's about prioritizing, creating SMART goals, and SMART being an acronym of specific, measurable, achievable, or actionable, relevant, and time-bound. So giving yourself the right kind of course to take to create a strong budget, and the discipline. The discipline requires follow-up, right? So you have to revisit what you're doing. You have to look at how much you're spending, what your goal is for saving. Look at your overall spending and what are ways where I can maybe scale back. I've cut back on some streaming services and saved a little money and put more money into my savings. Cut out some subscriptions, different things to just kind of be able to have a little bit more to add to that pot. So it's really about keeping your eyes on it at all times. I have become my mother. I look at my account a couple times a day just on GP. But it's always good to see when I'm able to add more to that versus spending more. So just being intentional about that and keeping your eyes on it is the most important thing.
Christmas is very different for me than it was, I think, and for everyone. Christmas is very different for me than it was as maybe, say, 15. Times are different. The economy is different. Buying groceries is different. So talk to me a little bit about budgeting, but also budgeting for this economy and also being prepared for the holidays, but also worrying about what's going on with the economy.
Well, what they want to see is more consumers in the store. So we know we're dealing with a time where prices are skyrocketing. We have all kinds of issues around, just obtaining different goods and services. So it's about what it is that you might need or want, and looking at the cost therein, the frequency in which you purchase those things. Everything has changed. Of course, it changes when you're spending your own money, okay? Because I remember when I was 15, I didn't care about, I wanted this body wash and that. Okay, so I'm now looking at different substitutes, or not necessarily buying the most popular brand, sometimes off brands, if it works, just different things. It's about knowing the product. It is about kind of making sure that your lifestyle fits inside of your budget. And that's important for a lot of us. That to me will help you to really figure out what are those priorities, because there are certain things that I can't, there's no cheating on my facial products. Okay. So I know that this is a $80 budget. Okay. So, but I know that maybe the budget for my nails can be cut in half or something like that. So it's really about looking at your priorities, finding out what that looks like. Also doing a shop around. A lot of people sometimes just don't look at shopping around. You got to shop around.
That's true.
Because everyone has a lot of the same things and they want your money. So they're going to make sure it is, of course, inviting. So there are different incentives around making certain purchases at certain times, or I'm a big BOGO person when it comes to shopping. So I know certain stores. I shop at different stores. I'm at the farmer's market. I have a butcher. I like Publix and all the other grocery stores, and I'm here for a BOGO. So I'm always taking advantage of those times where I can get more for my money, kind of stock up and save type situation. So it's really about being in tune with the environment, knowing what it is you want to buy, and then prioritizing what's most important and putting a budget around that.
And side note, the new PlayStation is coming out. So, if anybody is looking to pre-order that, it comes out in November. So you can add that to your Christmas list. Pre-order starts off at $700, I believe. So, be on the lookout for that.
So glad I'm out of that season. I'm out of that season in time.
Really?
If you want a PlayStation, you're buying it yourself.
See, that's me now. So I think my last question for you is, what role does financial education play in reducing holiday stress?
It's the captain of the team. Okay. The more you know, the better you do, right? If we are, let's say we're the team that's playing in the Super Bowl, that's because the whole season we've been going hard, in the paint. So it is about the practice of doing the things. Okay. So it is about the budgeting, the savings, the goal setting. It's about creating that discipline. It's about really keeping an eye on your spending, really looking at it, being very engaged with it. It's about continuing the conversation with your entire unit. Whoever impacts that money, whoever impacts that budget, whoever's inside your four walls, they need to know your plan if budgeting has anything to do with it. Everyone impacts that. The role of education helps us to do better and be better with our money. The more we know, the better we do. So, and it starts at any age. If you have kids, teaching them early helps. I am at a very golden age, and I am still learning ways and different strategies to be able to save more, to be able to spend less, to be able to create different types of budgets. Every budget is not going to be a cookie cutter. So there are different templates that are out there. Some may work for some people, some may not. So just finding what works for you and the rhythm of your home is very important. But the education piece is ongoing. It doesn't stop. And even when you think you master it, still look at other options, because there's always more new and better out there. So yeah, education should be continuous when it comes to a budget.
Now that brought another question. Not just using your own money, but some people use credit cards. What kind of advice do you give to people in not overspending with credit cards? Because that is a whole different monster.
Oh, why, yes, it is. It is the monster that lives under the stairs. Unfortunately, during this time of year, more people kind of lean on their credit cards. So for me, this is the time where I try not to bother the credit cards. I use mine for different purposes. I'm using one for travel, but the other ones are kind of off limits because I create a cash budget. So this is my cash and carry holiday time. So again, that's the discipline for me. Because I'm impulsive, I don't tend to use my credit cards that much during the holidays because I could go into the deep end. Okay. So I know me. So when I have that level of discipline, and it's even hard for me to say, I'm literally like shivering inside to know that I have one credit card that I can touch, but that one is for travel. I remove myself from that. But for a lot of people, they lean very heavily on that. It's just about understanding your interest, how much interest is being accrued on those purchases, and the priority should always be getting that card limit back down to at least 30% utilization. Because when it is over, you're paying more and it's going to take you longer to pay it off. But keeping it under that 30% helps to protect your credit score as well. So that would be my advice. For me, I'd like to do the cash and carry. Doesn't work for everybody, but if you are, then just have some limits around that number.
Now, we're in the day and age of layaway. New layaway as far as
Afterpay and Klarna, yeah.
Afterpays. So that's still a form of a credit card, but it's easier to pay off because you have payment plans.
You do, but that's every 2 weeks, okay? So they may say, well, I'm going to break this down. If you're spending $3,000 and they're going to break $3,000 into 4 payments, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So, I kind of do the Jay-Z. If I can't buy it twice, I don't need it,
And on that note. But yes, did you have anything else to add?
Well, in the spirit of the holidays, budgeting and money could always create a certain level of stress. Just don't forget the reason for the season, and the joy in it is spending time with friends and family. You can have whatever you want in moderation. So there's always a way to get what you want, but just be realistic in your approach to that. And have conversations with your family around your intentions. And I say that creates the biggest level of joy, because I think the best part of the season to me is just really getting together with family and friends. And you just know that you can show love in so many ways, but when it comes to a monetary attachment to an item, just be realistic, because this is one time of year, but life will keep lifing. It will keep lifing.
Well, thank you so much for engaging our audience and talking about holiday budgeting. It was so nice to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Now, what kind of resources do you have for our audience to get to know more about budgeting?
Well, budgeting, there are so many resources that are available to you, but here at JPMorganChase on our Chase app, when you go to the page, there are several mobile app options that give you some resources at no cost. You do not have to be a member of Chase to take advantage of those. We have a budget builder. There's a budget template on that website as well that can give you kind of the skeleton as to how to create the budget and at least somewhere to start. Just different resources that are free to everyone that goes to the website. So I definitely encourage you to do that.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.